So I just realized that I've not sent out an announcement to tell people that this is going to happen, but it's the regular time, although I'm a minute late. And we did say something about it on the Do Nothing project this past Sunday. So there's a possibility that people know it's going to happen. They just haven't seen the live stream go up yet. So we'll have a rolling start to this little more than maybe. We had one person. No, they went away. So my name is Andrew Leonards. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation coach. I'm certified through Unified Mindfulness. Many will know me as a sometimes guest host and oftentimes moderator for the chat in the Do Nothing project. And yeah, 1 second. Grab a bell, my fancy bell from Japan. You don't need to have a bell from Japan, but I really like it. So last week I had no power for my laptop, and that's why we didn't have a Wednesday meditation last week. So I had left my power adapter in Tucson, and I was off in the sort of Buckeye Litchfield Park area outside of the sort of Phoenix megalopolitan area, so on the outer edges of the Phoenix megalopolitan area. So that's why we didn't have one last week. So apologies for that. That was a silly thing to leave behind your power adapter, but that happens. Hello, Trisha. Welcome. So we didn't have one last week. And then this week, I got back in time that I just totally spaced sending out a reminder and creating this live stream. So do better about that coming this weekend. So we'll get that sort of back on track. But thanks for folks that are tuning in live. And thanks for the people that are going to tune in sort of after the fact. Yes, I am here. Thank you, Ruth. So it's good to be here. It's been kind of I had this When September Ends vibe from the Green Day song really playing. I was really hoping for September to be over with. And October, though, sort of life, the kerfuffle around various things in life doesn't track to your months, really. You can have a kerfuffle that spans your calendar. So, but that is why we practice. So, let's see. I think that's about it. I think ceremony is the theme for the CEC this month, and I was kind of thinking a little bit about whether I could piggyback any thoughts on that, and I don't have any. And I kind of am just in this, like, let's just sit. Let's just do that. Let's just do that thing. And so what I'm thinking about is, instead of doing what we normally do for this meditation, is I give you some amount of a technique, just enough of a technique, something like that. And then we contrast that with no technique. So there's a little bit of technique and then like no technique. So the one thing I'll offer is maybe a home base working with sounds, just because. So I had a visceral experience with karma today, which is that I had to have a crown that I had put on when I was much younger replaced. So young that it was like a metal crown, which is apparently like passe these days in the world of dental trends in North America. And I realized that my penchant for meditating with sounds was really beneficial, because there were lots of sounds. Because now in the post-COVID, we have a kind of an air thing that is like sort of pulling air out of where you are as your mouth is open, getting work done on you. And then there's the sound of the drill, and there's all these other sort of sounds. So you can focus on that, and it sort of is a focus out. So that's kind of a handy thing. So I'll offer that, and then I'll also offer maybe just the notion of sitting and knowing that you're sitting. We'll finish very much in the parlance Do Nothing Project. We'll finish with a little bit of a friendliness practice at the end. So we'll borrow from the Do Nothing Project. I think Jeff will be okay with that. So I think it'll good. So or the other thing to say is it's a meditation sit, so therefore it's good, right? You don't need to apply good or bad to your meditation sits. It's extra. So, all right. So I've got my phone on airplane mode. Thank you to Jeff Groves for highlighting that. And then we're sitting for 25 minutes. So we'll just get 25 minutes on the clock. All right, great. Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right, so just beginning with settling in. That can look a number of different ways, sort of the process of settling in. Just a reminder that you could really be sitting, or you could be in any of the 4 meditation postures. The one we don't usually talk about is standing. So you could be standing, you could be walking, you could be lying down, or you could be sitting. And you could be sitting in a chair or on a cushion. So each of them, as Susan Piver says, are equally spiritual. Sitting on a cushion versus a chair, I should say, is what Susan is talking about there. And what we're looking for if we're sitting in the chair and we're standing, looking for the uprightness, or being upright without being uptight. If you're wondering why, that's just it's a helpful physiological cue for the mind. Think of that as another one of these mind follows body examples. And really just serving the emotional landscape in the body at the moment. Seeing what's already here. And then shifting to see if there's any muscle tension or any sort of aches and pains, just knowing that you can adjust and get comfortable. And then you might find that tensions in the shoulders or the jaw. And just bringing awareness to those locations maybe will cause the tension to release. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. And then a few deliberate breaths. Slow and low is our tempo, as the Beastie Boys would say. Breathing in slow through the nose allows us to breathe low into the belly. And then from the belly, we can extend and accentuate the exhale. And you may notice that sort of emotional landscape in the body shifts a bit after a few of those deliberate breaths. And again, like the tension, if it doesn't, so if there isn't any shifting, or there isn't really any sort of settling into the posture, that's okay too. We're dedicated to whatever's here and whatever arises. And so your option is to, on one hand, sort of drop the home base and drop technique altogether. Sort of the technique of no technique side. So that's one option. And then the other is to gain some support by working with a home base. You can always work with the breath if that's what's comfortable, but just highlight some ways you can work with sounds around you. You can think of this as we're placing our home base in here space, HEAR. And we're focused on here out. And so you might be picking up noises from my environment. Or there's a ceiling fan, and the motor and the air moved by that ceiling fan gives a somewhat consistent sound. Or maybe there's a vent. You can hear the air blowing out of the vent. And just like working with any home base, we're focusing our attention on that sensation, noticing our attention's there. And then we can optionally give a mental label for that. So here, HEAR would be my suggestion. You can use whatever short label works for you. So again, you can work with the home base, or you can the home base and kind of operate from no time. And so I'll let you explore for a bit and And so I've given you a couple options here, and just to make sure I remind you that you're really in the driver's seat here. So you get to choose. And sometimes we think, well, how do I make that choice? Is to make that choice. So if you chose the no technique or the do nothing side, you may find that you spontaneously start counting your breaths. And that can be kind of frustrating because you're like, hey, I just want to do this do nothing thing everyone's talking about. And so if you drop the counting and you find yourself counting again, just kind of see if you can let the counting happen without sounding too spooky. Just the counting is just sort of, you're not counting. So letting that kind of be there, not fighting it. So that's one thing. If you sort of drop the intention a number of times and you keep coming back to it, then just letting it be. Doing the do nothing technique can feel too spacey. And that may be a sign that you can kind of switch and bring in a home base. And the home base then gives a little bit of stability, and gives the mind a little bit of something to make contact with, really. So again, if you're too spacey and you're in do nothing, you can consider shifting. If you're working with a home base but you feel you're sort of too speedy or too racy, I mean, you want to maybe dial back a bit. And so you can begin by dropping the mental labels if you want. And then beginning to kind of edge over to less and less technique and see if that helps. And it's a bit like finding a radio station on the dial. It's kind of a little bit different each day, maybe. All right, keep going. I'll let you know when the friendliness practice is going to start. And so we're going to shift into our loving kindness or friendliness practice. I'll give you a little bit of background on this one. So I've been away from work, and also when I've been at work, very distracted. And my team, I recently apologized, sort of apologized for being so scattered. And my incredibly wise supervisor pointed out that when I say I'm sorry or sorry, there is often a way for me to reframe that as a thank you. In this case, it was thank you for understanding that I've been scattered and absent. So, in the vein of our loving kindness, just seeing if a recent apology comes to mind, and maybe there's a way for you to reframe that apology as a thank you, acknowledging what they've done for you. And so bringing that person to mind, or people, making it as vivid as you like. If you're a visual person, making it very vivid visually. Or if sounds help, maybe if you can even hear a bit of their voice. And then just practicing that thank you. Just as easy as a thank you if you want. Or you can repeat the phrase that maybe helps frame the thank you. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for helping me be part of my family's current issues, I guess, or struggles. Thank you for helping me support my family. If we want to touch and go, maybe there's another person that comes to mind, another thought. Maybe a past sorry that could be a thank you. And repeating the phrase if it's helpful, or just keeping it a simple thank you. And then if you want, just if another person or situation, scenario comes to mind, then shifting to that. And if there isn't one, just seeing if there's any warmth generated, maybe around the heart or on the edge of the skin from shifting and reframing to this thank you. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. And if it is there, just seeing if you can soak into that a bit. And then just knowing for all that tune into these, I could, as I probably did at the top, say sorry that I lost my or left my power charger behind, but I could also take my own advice here and reframe that as a thank you. Thank you for understanding. And thank you for coming back. And thank you for spending your valuable time with me. And just kind of pausing. And being with whatever is kind of there in the body right now. Maybe there's nothing, which is totally fine. Maybe there's some warmth. Maybe there's some cold. Again, just being there with whatever's present. And may any benefit that comes from our time together go to all beings. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for the 5 folks that tuned in live. Appreciate it. If it was a good sit, you can always let me know with a thumbs up. How does that work, Ruth? I think Ruth was our first thumbs up of the night. So that's one way to let you know if it was, or I should say, if it was a useful sit. Leave the good and the bad off. So yeah, I had never thought of that. And so it was an observation that my supervisor had made, and I thought it was an incredibly insightful one. So a lot of times our sorry could be shifted, and it's an opportunity to acknowledge what someone's doing for us. So it's really cool. So it was a moment, but it was a really cool one. So, and then bonjour to Paul. I saw that you got there. There will be a reminder update that'll go out on Sunday. So that's Sunday the 8th. So I will get that out there. And then I think I've found a way to manage the email list that makes it a little bit easier. And that'll be a way also for me to be able to get some of the things in place to make it so I don't forget, because I'm starting to show my own inability to keep track of stuff. So you're very welcome, Tricia, and thank you for being here live and in the digital presence. And then so have a fantastic Wednesday night and the rest of your week, or Thursday for our Australian viewers. Jeff is your guide for Sunday. Monday is Canadian Thanksgiving. And so we think that Jeff's going to be able to do it from up north, but just as a notion there. So just preparing for the fact that, and I appreciate you too, Ruth. Thank you so much. So plan is for Jeff on Sunday, even though as the folks that are in the nation to the north of you'll know that your Thanksgiving is this Monday the 9th. And then the following Sunday, which I guess is the 15th, maybe? That can't be. The 14th. That can't be either. Well, anyway, the Sunday after next Sunday, which I guess would be the 15th, I guess, maybe. So I was right the first time. That is going to be a guest host, but I don't know who the guest host is yet. So the reason being is that Jeff will be coming back from Omega, which is up in the Rhinebeck. Yes, it is the 15th. Thank you. I was doing math in my head and it wasn't working out. So it is the 15th. But Jeff will be coming back from, I think it's Rhinebeck, where Omega is, up the Hudson Valley area. And so we'll have a guest host then. And I'm like the backup in case the guest host doesn't work out. So, hello, Jeff. You are incredibly welcome. And thanks to, as always, for reminding me about my phone. Appreciate that a lot. So, I think that's everything, hopefully. But yeah, have a great rest of your week.